Now let's talk about advanced directive. Advanced directive. Advanced directives. All right. So, what is advanced directive? The advanced directive is also known as self determination, right? It can also be a life planning thing as well too. So just in case maybe the NCLEX is saying self-determination life planning, all right, you understand that. Now, so what is advance directive? Because it's something you need to know as a nurse. Now, advance directive, they are legal documents that express the patient's wishes. So they express the patient wishes in regards to their medical care when they are unable to communicate their needs, right? What they want in their care. That's when we use advanced directives, self-determination, or life planning, right? So now we have various type of advanced directive. We have living will, right? We have living will. We have the health care prosy. We have the durable power of Anthony, right? So yeah, and we also have DNR or DNI, right? Do not resuscitate, do not intubate, right? So but all these advanced directive, this is a written, this one is written, right? This one is a person, right? This is also a person. Okay, let me just explain them to you. Now, living will is a written document, right, that outline what the patient wants and what they don't want. So they want something and they don't want something, right? Now the healthcare policy, right, is a person, right? Is a person, right, that the client designated for making decision about their care. While durable power of attorney, this is a legal document, right? It's also a person, but it's a legal document that is assigning somebody to make decision about their care. Why do not resuscitate? That is just simply your don't feed me if I'm unable to feed. Do not resuscitate. I'm talking. Sorry, I've skipped to this one, right? Do not resuscitate, don't do CPR, do not intubate, don't feed me if I'm unable to feed, right? So yeah, pretty much that. Now, when a patient, right, when do we initiate advanced directive? We initiate advanced directive immediately upon admission, right? So we don't delay it, we do that immediately upon admission. Now, during admission, we can have patients that have advanced directive. They might have it or they might not have it. Now, let's talk about a patient that have advanced directive. So if a patient have advanced directive, right, I'm going to pick that advanced directive and I'm going to what, teach the patient about what they have on the advanced directive. That's the first thing I need to do. So once I teach the patient about the information in the advanced directive, now at that point the patient can confirm back to me that yes, they still stand with what is on the advanced directive. They are not making any changes, because the patient have right to change information in the advanced directive, because every condition is unique. So what they might be experiencing now, the patient might have a different interpretation of different disease. So if I teach them, they get to understand if they are standing with their decision or not. So at that point they can make changes to their advanced directive. But if they feel like, oh, they understand better about their condition and all that, they can still retain the advanced directive. At this point, all I want to just do, right, is to document it, right, in the medical record, document it in the medical record, and inform the health care team. Healthcare team include nurses, doctor, any other people, right? Healthcare team. That's what I want to do. Now, but for a patient that don't have advance directive. Now the patient don't have advance directive, then what do? We initiate it, right? We initiate the advance directive, right, by letting the doctor know about it. The nurse cannot do that for the patient, so it's the doctor. So the nurse have to inform what the doctor to carry it out, right? Advance directive don't need you to be there to observe signature or notarize, right? You don't need to be there. It's not like informed consent that you need to be there, right? Advance directive don't need all that, right? Know that a patient can change the advance directive. Is very important. You need to document the advance directive, inform the healthcare members about the advance directive. Now there's two ways the NCLEX can test you the question. Now we have advance directive, we have action part, and we have the application. We have action and application. Now when the NCLEX just say advance directive, they are not telling you anything that is in the advance directive, so we cannot apply anything at that moment. Instead, we are going to stick with our action. What is our action? Our action is when we receive the patient advance directive, right, after confirming that the patient have advance directive. If they don't have, we initiate for them. If they have, when we confirm it, right, we are going to communicate that advance directive to other team member, and we want to document it, and gradually we want to be reviewing it regularly. That is the action. But application will be, now the NCLEX said, oh, a patient have advance directive, and they in their advance directive it states that they should not be resuscitated. Let us say they state that. Now the NCLEX is going to tell you that okay, the patient have advance directive and they state they don't want to be resuscitated. At this point, that's when we do application, right? So we don't resuscitate the patient, right? And if they have healthcare policy that is saying, oh, this is what the patient don't want, right, we also respect the healthcare policy wish as well too. If there is no living will, right? If there's living will, right, if there's a living will, the healthcare prosy and the durable power of Anthony, all these people must respect the living will. But if there's no living will, then these two people, they can act on their own to make decision on the patient. And as well, the nurse needs to communicate with these two people to find out information or ask them question in regards to the patient's decision. So these are things you definitely need to know, right? You always want to advocate for your patients. Anytime they are saying, oh, the family member is saying don't do this, maybe the patient have do not resuscitate order, and then the family member is saying no, we want you to resuscitate. You are going to advocate that no, we are not going to resuscitate the patient. Now if the problem keep on continuing like that, whereby there's issue between you and the family member saying you should do something like that, or even the healthcare prosy or the durable power of Anthony, and they are trying to refuse a particular thing the patient stated in their living will, then you need to report to the ethical committee, right? You need to report to the ethical committee. That's what you definitely need to do. But the first initial action is to make sure that you tell them that you are going to respect the patient decision. But if you don't see that as part of your option, your next decision is to report to the ethical team, right? So that is what you need to do. If your NCLEX question is asking you that, oh, the a patient is asking you on how they need to carry out advanced directive, you give them information on how they need to carry it out, right? So that they can be able to self-educate themselves, you understand? And then you carry it out for them. You can provide them educational materials to learn about advanced directive. You can teach them as well too. So you must always respect the patient's autonomy, right? Their right to making decision. You must not influence their right. Once you've educated them about so and so, and tell them, okay, sir, you said you want DNR. Do you realize if you are in a critical situation, we will not be able to resuscitate you? And they say yes. You can tell them the implication. If they still say yes, carry it out for them. right? Respect their wish, don't argue with their wish. So all we pretty much do is to make sure that at the initial state of admission, we make sure that this patient have advance directive. If they don't have, we initiate it by telling the doctor about it, right? Integration is the next step. That's the first part. We assess if the patient have. If they have, right, we proceed to the next step. But if they don't have, we initiate, right? We initiate it. But if they have, we document in the medical record, and then we communicate, right, to the healthcare team, right? So that's the integration aspect. We also make sure we want to carry the family member along as well. So the family member is important, because if you do not carry the family member along right from the beginning of the care, it can lead to the aspect of ethical dilemma, right? It can lead to the aspect of ethical dilemma. We don't want ethical dilemma issues, right? So in order to limit that ethical dilemma issue, we want to make sure that the client and their family are joining hands together, right, to create the care they want in their advanced directive. If there's any issue, remember the ethical team. If there's any issue, firstly respect the client decision, and if there's problem, the ethical team. Remember, you always want to educate the patient or the family member about the advanced directive, and last thing that you need to do is always to advocate for it, right? Advocate, right? You want to advocate the patient's wish all the time, right? All the time you want to respect the patient wish. Remember what I said. If a patient have living will already that states what they want, the healthcare proxy, right? Forget I'm saying maybe healthcare provider, but I'm just shorting this for healthcare proxy. So let me just put healthcare, so that you can understand this one better. So let me just put healthcare proxy right here, right? And so that you understand it's not healthcare provider. The healthcare proxy or the durable power of attorney cannot make decision by themselves, because there's a living will that is standing. They must advocate to respect this living will. So they must see maybe the doctor is trying to do a different thing, or the nurse is trying to do a different thing, and they advocate and they explain furthermore what the patient wants in the living will, not to refuse what is on the living will. But if we don't have a living will, and then the patient just have a healthcare proxy or durable power of attorney, they can now make decision by themselves for the patient. So yeah, if you have any question, you can ask me and I'll be able to answer you.